I would like to contribute to this actually existential debate, not by criticizing any of you guys in particular, but with placing critique regarding your approach in general. It is an approach which all of you invariably share. The idea, it could be called a premise or even an axiom, that it needs a group called a party with the supposedly right mindset in order to save the day or fix the world or secure the future or whatever. I think you are all stuck in this systemic way of thinking. Let me try to explain my view. On a premise level, I do believe that the party system which our species needed and benefited of for quite a while has become counterproductive. It served well for some time and it became obsolete. If you have parties, you have different identity groups, because identity is what groups naturally generate, and especially when talking politics and ideology. Naturally, you have as a basis some enemy situation, and each party wishes the other one to die. A lot of energy goes into tasks like damaging the other party's reputation, etc. And when sitting in a parliament, each party tries to boycott or kill especially the good ideas of the other party, because your success implies or equals on my side, a decline of status in front of our citizens. If I hinder you succeeding, and if I make you look like an asshole, I win. And tremendous loads of energy are channeled this way. What a waste. And what you all do is arguing about the best concept, using known labels, such as progressive, liberal, libertarian, etc. Sargon a few days ago said, "I'm a liberalist," which I perceived a bit as being sort of Monty Pythonish. Someone else would say, "Well, I'm a hybrid between left-leaning monarchic libertarian and conservative." You see where we are? We agree that there are large groups of people called nations, and that nations have governments gathering in some parliament who runs the nation, and there you find members of parties who hate each other. That would be the first thing to do away with. We do not need parties. The second thing would be the minimizing or elimination of corruption, a very tough bit. Let's envision the following situation. Nobody is permitted to work longer than 2.5 years in politics. In his or her last 6 months, he or she. Let me start over. Nobody is permitted to work longer than 2.5 years. In his last 6 months, he would train his replacement, which was proposed to him and not introduced by him. Every politician understands himself as a social worker, someone who works based on a high dose of altruism for his community. His income equals exactly the nation's average income, over hours paid, of course. Politics is not a field anymore where you can make bucks and streamline a prosper pension and so on. The reason why you take this shit is purely because you are social and non-egotistic, and you are connected with your heart to your people. And no, I'm not naive. People like that and with well-functioning minds exist and can be found. So the future politician is a social, quite altruistic character with no aim to get rich, and his service is limited to 2.5 years. Now comes the crazy bit. The inverting of Big Brother. Not the highest part of the pyramid has to spy down to its basement, but the lowest level of the pyramid has to have insight into what's going on in the top level. All members of parliament shall have microphones permanently streaming. I know this sounds weird and terrible, but actually it is not. If I work for my country, for my people, my community, and if the hardship anyway is only 2.5 years, and if during this small period within a lifetime I have a permanent coverage of my integrity provided by the streaming factor, I can anytime prove to have done my honorable best. When the Russian president Gorbachev called out for glasnost, for transparency, in the early 90s, everybody hailed and saluted, simply because everybody basically loves the idea of transparency and the non-existence of dirty little businesses and insults behind closed doors. Further, I see the necessity that everybody who wants to work in politics, but this is actually valid also for the traditional and pedagogic sectors, must undertake a test where his character, cognitive abilities, inclinations and intelligence is examined and found good for the job. Where I live, you need an authorization if you want to drive a car or a forklifter. But to steer a nation into the abyss, it requires nothing but some lunatic with a dysfunctional mind. However, we can no longer accept that no serious test of abilities and suiting inclinations are performed on people with the ultra-high responsibility given to run our countries. Let's sum it up. We have installed a new type of politician. one who was practically tested beforehand, one who is not out to get rich or powerful or both, and whose motivation is social in the purest thinkable form. An incorrupt non-asshole who has a certified mind because he succeeded in extensive social cognitive performance tests and is objectively better in the field of analysis and decision-making than the average citizen. You see the difference to your group and label-oriented thinking? What it needs to solve, for instance, the migration crisis, is social people who love their culture and are powered and enabled by their functioning minds. When we see the amount of minds active in politics who entirely lack it, the necessity of a character, inclinations and intelligence test should actually become obvious. We don't need goons, corrupts and idiots in politics, and getting rid of them would be a sane first step into some situation we can actually dream of. Please guys, take my call and multiply the idea of an extensive aptitude test as a necessity to be undertaken for anyone who wants to work in politics. Yes, I'm aware that we do not yet have a test especially designed for politicians, but I believe a great deal of test elements already exist and must be assembled, and others must be designed, sure. So, well, a call of getting their minds checked must be embarrassing for politicians, but actually they have been over-embarrassing us anyway for long enough, and it's only fair. I haven't spent much time for this script, and I hope that some of my thoughts are able to reach and inspire some of you. And I want to especially thank Millennial Woes, who impresses me very much. His persistence and the degree of personally opening up so much is a very lovely thing to witness. I'd like to see more people of his kind in this world. Final sentence, I believe my proposal can be supported by the alt-right, skeptics, libertarians, liberals, capitalists and even Marxists, because it regards a truly general common sense thing in form of a simple maxim. Goons, corrupts, morons and assholes, get fucking out of here. It's just as it is with the globally shared understanding we all agree with that polio sucks. I believe that the presented perspective and wish can be shared on a large scale, just as the polio disagreeableness. Keep it up and thank you for your time.